My name is Douglas Miller.
My name is Stella Oliphant.
My name is Jefferson Oliphant.
So whenever I received salvation, I was baptized by the Holy Spirit. So to me, baptism is a symbolic act of something that happened spiritually. Whenever I was a child, me and my parents were driving away from church and they said, hey, the church is having baptisms later this Sunday. Do you want to get baptized? And I was not really sure what the whole thing was about. I knew my sister got baptized years prior at a different church, and I was just like, sure. And then later that day, we went to somebody's house and we were at the pool, and the pastor was baptizing a bunch of people. Ironically, right before me, there was a guy, an older gentleman, who was also being baptized, and he made the statement that whenever he was younger, he didn't understand what baptism was all about, and he was getting baptized now because he didn't feel like he truly made the decision to follow Jesus whenever he was younger like he did now, so he was getting baptized. So I find it a little ironic that later in my own life I am doing the same thing that the gentleman before me did. It's not only important because the Bible tells us to do it, but it's also important because it is me stating to the congregation that I have decided to take my faith seriously and make Jesus the leader of my life. It's also important because it tells the congregation that I want them to hold me accountable for the decision that I made.
Baptism means to me is just making a commitment, more of a commitment to Christ. When I was a teenager, I was a Christian, and it was always in my life, but I was never baptized as an adult, and I always wanted to do that. And some of the churches that I went to didn't offer adult baptism until I came to Community Alliance, so I took this opportunity. I feel like it gives me a freedom, it's, I don't know, it's hard to really, but it's just something that I've always wanted to do, and it's kind of like a full circle for my life, this commitment, and to be in front of people and showing that I am committed to Christ.
Well, God talks about it in the Bible that believers should be baptized in His name. It's just an outward confession of what you believe. It is something that I have thought about on and off, and my wife and I got talking about it. My dad did accept Christ years ago, and just before he passed, he was baptized. And my younger brother had been baptized recently, and Stella, my wife Stella, and I got talking about it, and we decided it was time, we wanted to do it. You're making a public statement, and people are going to call you on it. And if you're not living up to a high standard, then they're going to say, well, I thought you were a Christian, and what's the deal? And so you do have some responsibility. It's not how you get to heaven or anything like that, but God does say you should be baptized, and I want to honor that.
I don't remember a specific date for when I accepted Christ in my life, but it's always been in my life. When I was a teenager back in the 70s, my family always had Bible studies and people over singing and talking about Christ, so it's always been around me all my life, and I knew then that's something that I always wanted to have, and it was always in my heart. But I think I didn't fully understand it until I became an adult, and when I did, I basically rededicated it, and I've been a Christian since then.
I had just turned 8. I was at a summer camp with my family, and I had been learning about that in a Christian home. My mother's influence. My father was not a Christian at the time, but through my mother in Sunday school and reading the Bible, I learned a lot about it, and it was just kind of a part of my life. And I made the formal decision just after I turned 8. I was reading pamphlets. The camp was was selling and handing out, and little children's booklets, and I understood, and that's what I wanted. I made my decision.
I can't really attribute it to a date. I know that in 2015, early 2015, I decided to take my faith seriously and learn what the Bible actually said about Jesus. And I was meeting regularly with Pastor Gary and reading my Bible, and it was through that process that I received salvation and gave my life to the Lord. So I can't think of a specific date, but it was over a period of time and learning what Christianity truly was.
I did fall away briefly, and I was living with a woman, and that was wrong. And I've straightened that out years ago, and after that, I made a commitment to God, recommitment, and I ended up shortly after that, I found my wife, and we ended up getting married. We've been together going on 23 years, and this November. He's used me in the past. I've been involved in other people sharing the gospel, and they made their decision to follow Christ, and that was exciting being a part of it. I know it was the Holy Spirit that did it, not me, but it was exciting to be a part of that and plant a seed and just let God let it grow. I have been pretty good about doing devotions, reading the Bible and praying and listening to music that inspires me, and I've been involved with Bible studies and youth groups. I was an elder at our prior church.
I have continued what I was doing prior to getting saved. I continued to meet with Pastor Gary. I continued to read my Bible. And as I grew in my faith, and the Christian Missionary Alliance brings in missionaries, and it was through meeting with one of the missionaries and learning what you did to become a pastor, that it actually started to click in my head that was the direction that God was leading me. So through my walk in my faith, I felt called to serve God, and because of how He took care of me even before I was saved, I felt that I wanted to give back to God and serve Him, and also help others to come to a saving faith in Jesus. So I've been working on I earned my bachelor's, and I'm working on my master's to become a pastor and serve God in the church.
I was diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma twice within the last 8 years, and in 2019 they did a stem cell transplant. And I just remember going to the doctor's office and her explaining to us everything that I needed to go through for this stem cell transplant. And I just, in my mind and verbally, I kept saying that I couldn't do it. It was just too much. But God had other plans, and He kept saying to me, you can do this. And He was right. He was always with me, and I always felt He was with me through the 3 or 4 months that I had to recoup. And when I was in Albany Med for almost a month, I just felt His presence with me all the time. And even the nurses said to me that they've had many patients before. They've been very sick, and they said that I was very strong, and they couldn't believe that, I never got sick. And I told them, I said it was because God was with me all the time. Right now I work for LifeWorks Community Action, and they do a lot of things for the community, and I want to do more volunteering, and I want I work in finance, so I don't get the connection I want with the people. So I would like to do more to help people out, maybe, cancer patients, or so I can help them with their journey. So it's been a teaching one, and ups and downs, but it's been a good journey.